Gliscor is arguably one of the most reliable Pokemon you can use in Great League, and its ranking at number 12 might even be a little too low. Having a base stat of 115 for its attack allows it to deal decent damage if an opponent doesn't shield, while having a defense of 143 and stamina of 116 allow it to absorb those non-super effective moves. Now when we look at its move pool, there's a lot of viable options here. Using Wing Attack as a fast move with Night Slash and Earthquake not only allow Gliscor to apply shield pressure while being able to drop an absolute bomb using Earthquake, it's able to counter some of the most used Pokemon in Great League, such as Galarian Stunfisk, Trevenant, and Medicham. Now the first thing we want to do is take a look at its weaknesses, where it's weak to ice and water. So the most common Pokemon we see as a threat with these types of moves are Pelipper, Azumarill, and Swampert. Pairing it with a Shadow Hypno is an interesting play that I've actually had some pretty great luck with, and that's primarily because it has a moveset that counters Pelipper, Azumarill, and any other flying type Pokemon. Now that's a good pair to start off with, but we need a reliable third that can finish off some of the weaknesses both Gliscor and Hypno have. So not only does it need to counter Bastiodon, Umbreon, and Swampert, but it also needs to draw out some of those Pokemon that we can counter using Gliscor or Hypno. So to do just that, we're going to be using Scrafty. This is a fantastic third edition since you can not only take out both Bastiodon and Umbreon with its fighting moves, but you can also lure out some of those frequently used meta Pokemon where we have the support if needed. Now that we have the team built with Hypno, Gliscor, and Scrafty, let's see how we do. Alright, and for the first battle, we're going to be sending out Hypno to start against a Florges. So this is going to be neutral damage against a fairy type Pokemon. So as you can see, we're getting very nice damage using that Confusion move, and we're also building up the Ice and Thunder Punch here. So we're going to go ahead and take the damage here. We should be able to survive whatever attack this Florges has, so it's a Moonblast. Yeah, so we're in the red. So we're going to farm up a little bit more to get extra Thunder Punch and go ahead and use it. And depending on if they shield or not, we should be able to take it out, but I'm expecting a shield here just in case. Yes, and they do. So we'll farm up a little bit more to get one more, and we'll use it. And when they throw out a Nidoqueen at the last second, so this Thunder Punch actually isn't going to do any significant damage because it's a ground type as well. And they're going to take out the Hypno. So we're going to throw out the Gliscor, and we're going to farm up to get this Night Slash off. So it should deal a little bit of damage, most likely get it into the red. And the thing we want to hope for is an attack raise. If it does, then we're going to cater to Gliscor and use the shields. So we do get an attack raise, and that raises it by 2 stages here. So it's going to be very important to keep Gliscor alive because we can deal that significant damage with Wing Attack, Night Slash, and Earthquake. So that was a good play right there. We were able to take out the Nidoqueen, which is important because they're actually very, very effective in Great League. But what we're going to do next is use Wing Attack to farm up some Night Slash a little bit, and we're going to use the shield first. But yeah, so we're going to try to farm up and get a double Night Slash and use it immediately because we don't want the Florges to get another move off. So we're going to go ahead and use this, and if we can get another attack increase, that would be a very, very nice touch onto this play here. So, and we ended up getting another one, so it's against the Sableye. They have 1 shield left, so we'll go ahead and see if we can bait the shield with this Night Slash. And they do, so we're going to go ahead and use the Night Slash again one more time. It should deal significant damage here because we got that double attack increase. And let's see. And we do, and 1 tap with Wing Attack, and that is it for the first battle. So we were able to take out this trainer with just our Hypno and Gliscor, and that just goes to show that Gliscor, when used correctly with a little bit of luck as well, is extremely powerful in a lot of different situations. So with that being said, we're on to battle number 2, and let's see if we can repeat what we did in that first battle. So to start, we're using the Hypno against an Alolan Ninetales. So again, the moves are going to deal neutral damage to one another, so that Confusion is going to play a very important role here. So we're going to try to use it as much as we can, as well as getting off these Thunder Punches whenever they're available. So we're going to get this off first, it looks like, which should deal decent damage. It's not going to do anything crazy. Yeah, didn't expect them to shield either, so I think we're gonna try to take the hit on this one. I don't expect the damage to knock out the Hypno. It's Dazzling Gleam, and it takes it into the red, so we should be able to get at least one more move off. And it looks like we ended up KOing each other, so this is gonna be interesting. I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw out the Gliscor again, just to make sure. And let's see what they end up throwing out here. This should be very interesting. It's a Swampert. So this is going to be our first real test to see what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Night Slash. And it didn't work right away, so we're going to have to shield up here because they most likely have Hydro Cannon. And they do. Okay, so this is very, very interesting. But again, we're going to use the Night Slash. If we can get that attack boost again, that'd be fantastic. If not, we're going to have to switch up the gameplay a little bit here. So they did shield, did not get the attack boost, but we will use the second Night Slash before they get their Hydro Cannon off. So let's see what ends up happening with the attack boost. And they ended up shielding, so we're switching over to our Scrafty to deal that nice counter damage. And see if we can get another power-up punch off, but we're going to go ahead and let this one go since Scrafty's defense is actually really, really high. So it should be able to absorb any type of damage by Swampert at least once. And so we're going to go ahead and use the shield this time. Was not expecting him to get the double Hydro Cannon off, but that's not a problem since we have a shield. So I'm going to go ahead and use Power-Up Punch. Shouldn't necessarily knock out Swampert, but we do have counter with boosted attack after that. So, yeah, so there we go. Did that one move, and they switched to a Trevenant. So we're going to see if we can get this foul play off. And again, we got the attack boost based off the Power-Up Punch. So it should deal a little bit more damage. Not necessarily KO Trevenant. But then, oh wow, it did a lot there. And then the one tap with counter on Swampert. And we have our second win in our second battle. So again, nice little gameplay there. Even though we did have to use our Scrafty. But let's see how game number 3 goes. So it's going to be a Hypno against an Alolan Muck. So Alolan Muck is poison and dark, so the confusion damage is not going to do as much as we are used to. So we're going to have to rely on Ice Punch and Thunder Punch, and then maybe even swap out. So they're going to deal an attack. We're not going to shield because it's going to be an Acid Spray because of how fast they got that move up. So it's not going to deal a lot of damage, but will decrease the defense. So we got to make sure we keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and get this Ice Punch off, and then try to get one more attack before the Alolan Muck can get their attack off. And hopefully, just hopefully, maybe even burn one of their shields because they might expect something different. So let's go ahead and get this move off, and they actually used a shield. So I'll take that trade off, but we're going to go ahead and go with the Scrafty because of the type advantage. So we're not going to shield up here. It's going to end up using another Acid Spray to lower the defense, and then we're going to finish off the Alolan Muck with counter, while also building up enough energy to use Power-Up Punch. So again, we're not going to shield, and actually I think what I'm going to do is switch to Gliscor, because our defense is down twice. So I'm going to switch. They throw out a Leafeon at the same time, then switch to a Bastiodon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is charge up to get this Earthquake off, and if they shield, great, we use their last one. If not, then it's definitely going to deal super effective damage. It might possibly KO it. And let's see if they shield. They don't. So they let it go, and they end up surrendering anyway, which is probably what I would have done, considering I have a Gliscor with Wing Attack, and they had a Leafeon. So because that one was so short, we're going to do one more battle, see if we can end up going 4-0. So again, starting off with the Hypno, and we're going up against a Stunfisk. So this matchup isn't too favorable for our Hypno, but we're going to try to see if we can draw out at least one shield. And if that's the case, then we should be good to go. I'm not going to go ahead and shield, just because it's most likely going to be a Rock Slide, which it is. And then I'm going to use the Ice Punch as soon as I get this charged up. See what ends up happening. It's probably not going to deal too much damage. Probably end up switching over to the Scrafty anyway, but they ended up shielding. Interesting. So we'll switch to the Scrafty. We have the shield advantage, and now we're doing some super effective damage with that counter. Ooh, that was kind of close. I'm not sure if it's an Earthquake, but it was fast, so I'm not going to shield this time, and it was an Earthquake. So that dealt a lot. They used the Power-Up Punch to get our attack up, and by the sound of it, it was a Talonflame. So this won't do a lot, but we will get the attack boost. And maybe we'll be able to get the foul play off. At least use their last shield, if anything. So let's see if we get it. We do. Alright, so this puts them in a very unique situation. They need to decide on if they're going to let it go or if they're going to shield. And they decided to use that last shield, which is great. So I think I'm going to go out with the Hypno here. And they're going to attack right away. I'm going to not shield. See what they use. Use a Brave Bird, yeah. Severely lowers their defense. We're going to use the Glycor's Wing Attack to get that Night Slash up. Definitely going to shield, obviously. So they're probably going to use a Flame Charge, if I were to guess. And they do, so they have no more energy. We're going to go ahead and use Wing Attack and get all of their health down. And then it's going to be a 2 against 1 with our Gliscor. We have 1 shield, and we're going to use Earthquake against this Stunfisk. So that's going to deal super effective damage. They can't block it because they don't have any more shield. I think it's going to take it out, and it does. And then their last one is a Venusaur. So this is exactly what we wanted with our Wing Attack. We're going to use the, obviously we're going to shield right here, and then we're going to use the Earthquake just to finish off this Venusaur. If it doesn't KO the Venusaur, we have Wing Attack, which should finish it off if this Earthquake doesn't necessarily KO it. So we'll go ahead and get this charged up, see what ends up happening. And we do get the KO. So there you have it. We ended up going 4-0 with our first 4 games using this team, which featured our Gliscor. So as we just saw, Gliscor is a very, very solid Pokemon to use in Great League simply because of how many meta Pokemon it actually can counter. But it's also very important to keep in mind about its supporting cast. So that Scrafty that was in there with the Shadow Hypno really helped bring this entire team together, especially with the different types of moves each one of those Pokemon had. So if you're curious about a team that you have or even any Pokemon that you want to see specifically, make sure you guys leave a comment and it might even be featured in the next video. But until then, I will see you guys next time.